Okay, so I'm going to try and keep this very brief because I've got a lot of evidence to support that this is the case, but it's been on my mind for a while. Y'all know that I really like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I like posting about Yu-Gi-Oh! I talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. I'm kind of obsessed with it, that and Pokemon and several other gaming franchises. That being said, I clearly spend a lot of time studying Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, so here it goes. SETO KAIBA cause world peace. Yes, you heard that correctly. Billionaire, spoiled rich boy, SETO KAIBA caused world peace. And you're probably thinking, but what do you mean he caused world peace? There's so much conflict in Yu-Gi-Oh! Correct, there is so much conflict in Yu-Gi-Oh! That conflict is card games, specifically. And anything that's outside of card games typically is like apocalyptic, world-ending consequences, like drowning the world in darkness. But one huge thing in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise that people seem to bring up all the time is the fact that they constantly solve all of their conflicts with card games. They don't use fist fighting. They don't use weapons. Why do they do this? Well, I'll tell you. It's because of what I just said. SETO KAIBA caused world peace. Now, let me explain. SETO KAIBA, at an early age, inherited his father's company. If you will recall, what was Gozaburo Kaiba's business? KAIBA Corp was originally a what manufacturer? A weapons manufacturer. It's why Alistair was so angry at KAIBA during the Orichalcos arc, because he was blaming KAIBA for everything his father did, even though KAIBA, and we're gonna get to this, essentially caused world peace by turning KAIBA Corp into a gaming company. They would basically create, holographic systems, ways to make duel monsters into a spectacle sport so that people would prefer this over fighting. They created the duel disc and outsourced it everywhere in the world after its initial launch in Japan. But I think the biggest thing that supports that KAIBA essentially incited world peace is somebody from an arc that we typically forget in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's not the best arc, it's a filler arc, but he plays a key role in this. I am talking about that pink-haired German man, Siegfried von Schroeder. Siegfried von Schroeder. Siegfried von Schroeder. You see, Siegfried, he was kind of doing the same thing with Schroeder Corp. Schroeder Corp was also a weapons manufacturer, something you probably did not know unless you were watching the sub of the anime. The dub did not specify that Schroeder Corp was actually the main weapons manufacturing company for all of Europe. You essentially have two major superpowers who have now pivoted their major corporations that supply weapons to Asia and Europe. The entire continents of Asia and Europe. You have these two global superpowers pivoting from manufacturing weapons to card game technology. And you see, that's where KAIBA did it. He didn't know it at the time, but he essentially inadvertently incited a chain of events that would cause the world to pivot to playing card games to resolve conflict instead of weapons. Because Siegfried was so obsessed with one-upping KAIBA that he pivoted his entire weapons manufacturing company that supplied weapons to all of Europe, again, the continent of Europe, to gaming. He made half the world pivot entirely to choosing to play card games instead of firing weapons at one another. KAIBA has a superiority complex, but he dislikes violence. He was bullied his entire life, so naturally, he doesn't want to resolve his conflicts with violence. He wants to resolve them with strategy, with games. He's been doing that his entire life. Look at how he got adopted. He played a chess game against Gozaburo. Nevertheless, all of this is to say that we can hate on KAIBA all we want. We can mock him all we want. We can make fun of the fact that he is just a spoiled baby, this rich kid who's got all this money in the world, and he chooses to use it on playing card games and showing off his Blue Eyes White Dragons and trying to beat somebody who's basically unbeatable. He created a world that I honestly wish we all lived in. I would way rather that we all resolved our conflicts playing card games.